Welcome to another News Game Plus. I'm Jamie Dermie, and I'm here with a man who, well, he already has the longest running video game show on broadcast TV in Australia, and he's just seen off two other shows.
So I would like to shout out
I
to.
didn't say who yet. I got to say New Game Plus executive producer Jason O'Gallagher, and now you can be happy.
I would like to shout out to the project, of course. So I think the project started off well enough, and then the chuds, like the Hamish McIntoshes or McDonald's or whatever his name is, the word.
I actually liked Wally Dally. I actually didn't mind it. He did get lame over time, but
the germs are going into your fucking brain. That's like saying you like Osman Faruqi.
It started good. Faruqi.
Marine Faruqi's kid, look him up. He's a wanker.
Okay, cool.
But no, Waleed Ali's awful. He's awful. I've got nothing more to add. He's just awful.
He is though. Everybody at Channel 10, he was their one Muslim friend. A bit like how that is a Tony Armstrong on ABC. He's everybody the ABC's one black friend.
Yeah.
You remember Hex on Good Game? She was every gamer at ABC's female gamer friends, and you get him everywhere because of that.
I don't mind Tony Armstrong. He's all right. Like he's good. He kind of.
I might have to do the what would you say about Waleed? I might have to pull that on you with him. I don't see the appeal.
Yeah, look, he's all right. I don't watch anyone on the ABC except for Sean McAuliffe, so I'm not one to talk. But yeah, and then the other one is Q&A, which okay. So the big thing for me is, like, don't get me wrong, Patricia Cavalis, garbage, absolute dog shit, right? Who else has hosted it? David Spears, absolute fucking dog shit, the worst of the worst.
Yep.
Because he puts this veneer of professionalism on what is absolutely partisan nonsense.
Yeah, but they're not very bright, so they're not good at this. And the thing is, we can spot that because we're not idiots, right? But there is an audience that can't spot it.
You know, your wife listens to this, right?
And she's turned a bit away because the ABC's been just so Liberal Party. And they pushed so hard for the Libs and Dutton in the last election.
Yes.
I've noticed at home ABC hasn't been on as much.
And I think I've said to a lot of people, now that it's 6 to 9 guaranteed years of Labor, now's the time to burn the rot. If you're going to burn the rot out now while you've got the chance.
Well, that's why the ABC stopped Q&A, because there's not enough Liberal Party politicians.
There's not enough staffers to put in the crowd to
private school kids. They always had a bunch of private school kids, and they'd take these private school kids' questions as if they're the most intelligent people in the whole planet. I've got a question that my dad gave me, and he's a Liberal Party fan.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is going on? I didn't mind when Stan Grant hosted it.
I do not like Stan Grant. I would like to point out I'm a very big advocate of Stan Grant and it goes to Waleed Ali. They are conservatives at their core. It doesn't matter about
he is.
So Stan Grant's half. I think he's what half.
He's a bit Sarah Ferguson. He can get his stuff out of the US Embassy, but I like Stan.
Yeah.
Stan, I liked he was thoughtful.
Look, he puts more thought into it, but the problem is he uses that brain power for evil, as far as I'm concerned.
He's not as thought. He's not.
Waleed Ali's a self-professed conservative. I mean, you got to remember. People love to play, like, you know, this idea of progressive Christianity or progressive Islam or they are incompatible ideas. To me, they are just absolutely incompatible.
Are you saying, wait, let me get this straight. Are you saying that when Australian media finally puts a minority person on their TV shows, they choose one who's conservative?
And usually from existingly wealthy families is all I'll say.
What? Next, you're going to tell me that everybody in Australian media are basically rich kids.
I was watching. I listened to a few podcasts out of the UK. It's one of the few places I actually do listen to podcasts out of, and they brought up a really good point about class in the UK. Now, class is a bigger issue in the UK than this here. It's a big issue here. But because you've had 2,000-3,000 years to ingrain this classism, it's much more apparent. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's much more obvious. Whereas here, we try to pretend that it's like a bit more.
Well, they have their House of Lords.
Yes, which is literally appointed because
Lords.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right, and so like I feel like that's it. And then Q&A. So then the big one for me is Tony Jones. Everyone is eulogizing Tony Jones. Oh, the legacy of Tony Jones will never be forgotten. Fuck Tony Jones. Do you remember when he used to go on talking about video game stuff, and he'd entertain all these nonsense talking points? Like, I felt bad for Janet having to listen to it and go, now we have to try and find a way to counteract this while staying within the ABC charter. Because it was absolute fucking rot. Like, he's as bad as the rest of them. He just wasn't completely partisan towards the Liberal Party like the rest of them.
Yeah, no, they're all rich kids in Australian media, especially ABC, and they love the Libs. That's just what it is.
That's the big thing. And I mean, it was the same in video games journalism. I'm going to get myself in trouble with the next comment, but they're all trying to justify their
another podcast.
They're all trying to justify their journalism degrees to their wealthy upper families. Like, that's all they're doing.
Okay, well, let's get on the project because, and we won't do this too long, but the project always, I think Friendly Doherty's got almost close to summing up. I don't think he quite nailed it. The project was definitely one of those ones where about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they reframed left to be nothing to do with working class and unions, simply because all the people who were in media were well off and they didn't like the politics of their dad. They figured that was right wing. So they figured they were different and they were nicer. They were less racist and less sexist or differently, right? Because media has a problem with Asians, right? But they say, oh, we love black people. But then if you dig close, they hate Asians. So they're still racist, right?
Yeah.
So they decided they weren't right like their fathers. They must therefore be left. They couldn't comprehend any other way. So they reshaped left because they also thought working people are icky and poor. And they also hate unions because they were brought up in rich families.
And this is the ascendancy of the Teals. Like you are describing the ascendancy of the Teals.
Well, the project was a big one of them. And Friendly Geordie's talked about it, but that's what you're getting at. The project was a big part of that media sort of shift to redefine left as something that rich kids could be without threatening what made them rich.
Yeah, pretty much. And this just goes to that idea that and again, even the Greens, like Maxi did an interview. I don't know if you saw it with the Jacobin after his loss, and it was basically the same Green talking points over and over. But then some of the language that he used was basically admitting that they need to become Labor. They needed to have a broad church that included renters, multicultural working class. I'm like, well, multicultural working class is an interesting conversation because then that's a conversation about immigration, and we're only importing rich ones that can afford to get above the financial hurdles of it, or we're importing
can exploit.
We're importing poor Indians and Asians to make them Uber drive and clean our grandparents' asses.
Yeah,
that's the only reason we're doing it. So to pretend that you're trying to go all in those, and then they wonder why like Labor is the natural party of those people. Of course it is, but then also once they get second gen, the Liberals are the natural party of them because suddenly they have assets to protect, and this is where we this idea we kind of. I don't want to say noble savage because it's not quite noble savage, but it's this idea that immigrant communities are suddenly going to be progressive because we let them in, and it's not. It doesn't work like that. The people that are rich enough to have these assets to protect, of course, going to go conservative. Of course, they're going to go liberal. Of course, they're going to go Tory.
Also, this false belief that anybody who's not white male is therefore progressive.
Yes, that's insane.
Because you can.
America learned that one the hard way with the Latinos for Trump.
Yeah, well, because they don't see themselves as people of color.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. They can. But the American experiment, the idea is that you're all Americans and you're all got your chance to make your gap up. So.
Anyway, let's do some. I thought you'd be happy. I thought you would have had a good week this week, best week since Labor won.
Yeah, and I fly out to Japan on Sunday. So what can be bad? Except for Japanese summer is going to be awful.
Seen off 2 more TV shows. That's
Switch 2 came out. I've been playing a fair bit of that. So it's a good week. It's a good week. Glitch went really well.
Yeah, in my notes here.
Yeah. I wasn't, but yeah.
Well, Switch 2, let's do some gaming stuff because it's always fun to introduce that and see how many people stick around. So Switch 2, 3.5 million units. I wrote 3.5 units, so I'm sure it's more than 3.5 units. I'm sure it's 3.5 million units.
Someone's got the broken Switch, just crying. Some kids crying. It's like, where are the controllers? Where's the Joy-Con?
That YouTuber that smashed it in front of the shop. Did you see that?
No.
He's not allowed to buy another one apparently. But so 3.5 million units sold in the first 4 days. That's worldwide numbers. That's a lot. Apparently they were making 20 million to sell in the first year. I think sure naturally the sales will slow down.
Yeah. But they won't slow down that much.
There's talk that there's a Smash Brothers coming soon. Have you seen those rumors?
I mean, there's been one for a while, like a deluxe edition of Smash 4.
If they have a Smash, the Smash, Animal Crossing, they're gonna have another wave of massive sales. So they may do more than 20 million in the first year.
Yeah,
so 3.5.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they did 135 million in the space of 7 years on the other one. So yeah. That's an old-fashioned vibration mode. You can hear that one through the table.
Yeah, you can. My phone's no. Anyway, it's actually somebody ringing me who wants me to buy him a Switch. Actually, so Switch 2. So that's the sales are going good.
There's plenty of them at Officeworks and JB is all I'll say.
You ran off. Yeah, well, that's something else. So there are a lot around now. Now, some people have tried to suggest that means that people aren't buying them because of the high price.
I think they just had enough to cover demand this time.
I think after the lessons of what happened in COVID, and you couldn't buy a single thing,
and all the scalpers and all that kind of stuff, and that Nintendo would be experiencing the backlash of the scalpers, and they'd be seeing it for the retro stuff. They'd be seeing it for all these old games that they have that people are charging $250 for a disc
so
copy of and
their
shit like that.
supply lines were well and truly
Yeah, well, they had time. I mean, look at the on ramp. The on ramp was 2.5 years. They had the on ramp from basically OLED switch. You know what I mean? And the screen on it is nice. It is like definitively bigger. Like there's just no.
Give us some quick impressions. You ran off after the last podcast.
Yeah, so the feedback from EB is they've obviously lost the skill for how they do it, but the young girls who were running it did an okay job. But it's been the last.
You mean for the midnight launch?
For the midnight launch.
Because
the skill set's gone, right? I mean, you want to talk about the manufacturing industry kind of summed up in a single allegory. They didn't know how to run a midnight launch because all the people who would have done midnight launches have been on and promoted.
And all like 50 now.
Well, and so it's funny to see the new generation of EB girl come up. And so they did well, but trying to find the one at the Glen. Anyone who knows the Glen shopping center, the it's got lower ground, mezzanine, lower ground.
It's probably the big. That's probably the other big change from the. You remember the midnight launches, but there were girls there.
Yeah.
That's probably a big change. That's probably the major change.
There was a fair few in line. We were there with a lady who her husband, I think it was his husband, had bought the fast pass. He had EB fast pass, so he was in the fast pass line. He got business class. We were stuck in economy. Yeah, this poor lady was stuck in economy with us, and he called her up. And she's like, "Yeah, thanks." And I'm going, I said, "They won't even give us peanuts back here. Like, what the fuck?" Like, yeah.
My sister-in-law got told by her boyfriend at the time to go line up to buy Windows 95 when they had a
nice.
So she was the only girl there lined up to buy Windows 95 for her
nice.
boyfriend.
I was 10 years old when 95 came out. By the way.
She was like 10. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's right. But no, that was Windows 95 was when? No, it's
Windows 95 was when? Okay, good question. Next, yeah,
it can't have been too long ago.
As far as the system itself, you don't buy it unless you're needed to upgrade. Anyway, Mario Kart World is nice, but it's not.
Not a stellar.
Nice. Wait for Donkey Kong. If Donkey Kong's your thing, they haven't announced their Christmas game yet. They're going to have something at Christmas. All the Switch stuff. That obviously they talked about. You could pay for the upscaling on Zelda and stuff like that, and there is a lot of that. But at the same time, Pikmin 4, for example, is not officially on that list, but the load times are much better, and there's lots of changes that they've made.
Well, I expect everything would be faster. I
one
mean,
would hope, right? Like, yeah, it's like even when you play 360 games on Xbox Series, the bugs exist, but in a different way because it's loading through a different vector. Like, I was trying to explain it to someone, was like, the bugs are there, and the triggers may be similar, but the way they manifest is different because it's inherently manifesting through a different process.
I think they should all do like Bethesda did and actually make sure they build the bug engine.
Yeah, just bake it in.
Keep the bug engine layer.
Yeah, I mean, talk about bugs. I mean, Mind's Eye came out recently, and that's been an absolute bug fest, and that's been the new meme on the internet. So
I haven't seen Mind's Eye.
It's from ex-GTA devs. It's a whole thing, but no. Look, I like it. I'm enjoying it. The screen is nice. It's vivid. It's big. It's definitely a little bit more powerful. The 24 people Mario Kart can be a ruckus because they haven't released 200cc mode, so it's not a.
Oh, really?
So there's always some rubber banding, and so when you have 24 opponents, if you're not away from the peloton, if you're in the pack, you can forget it. Like, there's very little chance of you coming first if in that last lap you're in the pack, because the second you get remotely ahead, you are just going to get bombarded, like whether it's fireballs, whether it's green shells, whether it's red shells, you are just going to get moided. So
yeah, it's a lot of shells going to come your way if you're first, and there's like 23 people behind you just shooting.
Yeah, exactly, right. So
boy,
yeah, so 24 people, right? You're talking about. So it's not like it can just get too much ruckus, like just a bit too much ruckus.
Kind of sounds like fun as long as you're not in first place near the end.
Well, you just want to be in. By the time that last lap rolls around, you want to be in first place. Is the answer.
All right, cool. I talked last podcast about Switch 2's copy protection measures and that.
Yep.
Already though, I tell you, hackers are smart. Already,
they've already cracked it.
Hacker got through it, but did you see they told Nintendo's and got a bug bounty?
Wow.
Well, that's the story I heard.
Wow.
Because the bug bounty on the Switch 1, I don't know what it is on the Switch 2, is $20,000 US, right? to tell me.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so the story I saw, I could be wrong, but was that person found out how to inject code on boot, which is great. That's custom.
That's literally what you want. Yeah, yeah.
And basically got quite wealthy telling Nintendo about it, like a snitch. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, if that could have been a very interesting situation for Switch too, if that had.
I mean,
been kept
first week,
quiet.
imagine, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, they went to all, but it goes to show you can go to as much effort as you want for anything
There'll always
to
be an
protect
attack
it.
vector.
Somebody, because this is what companies don't like, and I'm sure they're happy with all the education standards dropping because companies like to think they're the smartest, or their people are smartest. Yet every manager goes, "Oh, we only hire the best people," and all that sort of shit, right? But the fact is, there's a lot of very intelligent people out in the world, and they've got a lot of time on their hands.
Speaking of very intelligent, you hear the crows in the background. I apologise.
He's
I was stupid enough to drop some old sausages out after I was done with them, and now
my pretty.
yeah, but I do have something of a murder here for sure.
Well,
because I told you. I mean, I can tell the viewers about my story about killing Indian miners and not small children from the subcontinent. But yeah, now I get all the birds, and the problem with that is they hassle me, and I try not to feed them, but sometimes I'm just like, well, my scraps. I just put my scraps out. And that's how it was in the caveman days. I won't go out of my way to feed them, but you can hear them in the background, so I apologise.
Basically, just praying protection money so you can leave your house.
Yeah, well, the magpie. I mean, the guys know the magpies know the people from my house. So Proc walking home and stuff like that. My housemates and stuff. They don't have to worry about getting swooped because the magpies don't give a shit.
Apparently, magpies like to swoop people who are balding. Because I get
the sunlight hurts their eyes.
I get swooped a lot. I do. Magpies hate me.
I do not get swooped at all.
Yeah, because you've got hair privilege.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, lots of hair.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Now talking. Now I can't do a segue to that. Okay, so you showed me a thing during the week that Charles Martinet,
yes,
can't be Mario anymore at events.
So obviously that was what's his name, Ricky Berwick, Ryan Berwick, whatever his name, Ricky Berwick, the bloke in the wheelchair who he likes to stir shit. He's mates with Stone Toss, but he's one of them.
Okay, because I got a follow-on story about that.
Yeah, so it's so some voice actors won't do existing lines in character. And I mentioned this when I sent you the link. Sean Schemmel notoriously won't do anything in Goku's voice. There's one clip of him on the internet doing some script in Goku's voice, and Toei would have been on the phone within minutes of seeing that and saying, you can't do that. And I'm sure it's the same thing. I'm sure with Charles Martinet, it's a professional thing, because I said that in the thread when they brought it up. We've met him many times. He's a friend of the show, and
he's a fun guy. And he does the Mario voice all the time.
All the time. Yeah. And so we were waiting there once for like an Armageddon or something, like when Armageddon was still in Melbourne, and we were waiting for other guests, and we saw him, oh, hey, man. He's, oh, hey, guys, blah, 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 and was talking to us, and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, who are you waiting for? I was like, we're waiting for, it was Bruce Boxlight, funnily enough. A name Dermie will remember.
Yep. Tron. And what else is he on?
Come on.
Oh, I've lost
it. He was on a TV show. He was on a certain TV show.
Like Stargate or something.
No, it was BSG, the first one.
He wasn't on Battlestar.
Was he on the first one? He was.
Was he? Oh, okay. I didn't
the original BSG. I'm nearly certain he was.
Okay, I didn't know he was on the original one. But
yes. The Zion one. And but no, and basically
going to the promised planet.
Yeah,
when they got there, by the way, in the second Battlestar Galactica, they got there and it was nuked. But it's got nothing to do with anything that's going on right now.
Yeah.
They got to their promised planet and it was dead.
But yeah,
because a bunch of idiots decided to start a war. Actually, I am just saying what happened on Battlestar Galactica. Yeah. Nothing to do with anything.
Nothing political.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he insisted on doing stings for us in all of his voices. He did Parthenax and he did all the Mario crew and all that kind of stuff. So when I read it, I wasn't skeptical, but I'm like, I wonder if there's more to it. And the more to it is that he won't do custom lines in Mario voice. He'll do it personally talking here, but he won't do it off thing. And I think that's more than reasonable.
He when he was here in Australia once, he was talking about how he hated Australian radio.
Yeah.
And the reason being that every time he went on an Australian radio station, they would try and get him to do the Mario voice rude stuff about Princess Peach.
Yeah.
And he refused to. So he actually really hated Australian radio stations after he was here once.
Imagine with like Kyle and Jackie O, man. Like fucking hell.
I wouldn't send him anywhere near them.
Yeah. It's like saying, oh, by the way, your next gig's at an open cut sewer. Like,
how are they a thing? I got no idea. I've heard Murdoch loves him.
I've got to give Melbourne credit. We have run them out of town on a rail. No one's fucking.
They've tried to push him down our throats, and I don't get. See, the other thing is like like Kyle, he's not a very attractive man. So, and but he likes to talk about sex a lot. So he just seems to me like that loser at school who's not having sex but talks about it all the time.
He'd be having, he'd just be paying for it. But like,
he's got I suppose he's got the money too.
Look, that's
tell you what, I'd charge him a lot if he was paying. He's a gross, horrible person. He's got an outside.
I don't like a lot of talk radio. Talk radio. I don't like a lot of
talk radio.
I don't like any talk
podcasts.
Yeah. Have you seen that? Have you seen you can go to Japan with Ross and Russ from Three All White?
Yeah, it's great. Well, see, that unrelated. Did you know that Tokyo is now the world's top 6 tourism destination?
I believe it.
It's for middle age and divorced men.
By the way, prostitution is illegal in Japan, but still,
it's middle aged and divorced. Because I know, even if you go to the gym, and there's an Asian girl there. Every middle aged man is just staring at it the whole time. You go, what the fuck? Is this because they saw it all in the movies? That love you long time crap that they've just ingrained.
It's like when you see you see like the post come up and it'll be like one of the Reddit posts being read over while someone does Minecraft parkour, right? And they'll be like, "Oh, my ex-wife, blah, blah, blah." And it's always these stories of like, he's too good for her, blah, blah, blah. And you see them come up, and it's going to be, it's almost guaranteed, it's going to be one of two things. Number one, it's going to be a photo of them with their car. Number two is going to be a photo of them with their kid, but no picture of the wife because they're not with the wife anymore. Or it's going to be a picture of them in some tropical destination. It's just going to be one of those three. Most likely it's someone with the kid. They do like to take photos with the daughter and say, "See, I'm still a good dad, even if my wife thought I was awful and my kids will eventually grow to resent me." But like, and don't get me wrong, I definitely know that the family courts are stacked against men, but come on, a lot of them are fucking idiots. You know what I mean? And you just get that undercurrent, and it's always that nasty. And then they'll always go and marry nurse in a purse. They'll always go to Thailand and marry nurse in a purse. They just want something subservient that'll listen to them, that'll put up with them for 20 years, have her kids, get them out of the house, and then, be happy with the life that's not in, a third world country. And it's like, there's
definitely a thing there.
Yeah, well, I used to say when you go to like sex bomb stuff, you'd see like the multiple crowds. You'd see like the young ones who it's their first time there, or teehee. You'd see like the true freaks show up. You'd see like the kind of the ones who are obsessed with the porn stars with the parasocial relationships. They don't need to go to sex bomb anymore for that. They can just pay for it on OnlyFans. But then you would always see, like, you'd see the leather and lace sadists. You'd see all the different ones. But then you would always see the guy who was 25, 30 years older than his wife walking around the different things. "Oh, what about this, love?" And you just say, "Oh, yeah." And she just like feigning interest in it. And she just looking at her phone.
Is that what I have to do to stay?
Yeah, so, this is the cost of my visa. And you just, like, it's hard to say you pity him because I don't pity him inherently. I don't blame him. Do what you got to do, like, to get out of whatever shit situation you're in. Like, you're only trading it for a slightly less shit one, but it's still less shit. I can definitely understand the poverty brain of.
No, I don't judge.
I don't judge him at all. I
do judge the man.
It's like when I said before about.
It's sad.
When I said before about like immigrant workers, I don't judge them for coming out and doing it. Why the fuck wouldn't you? 5 years here and you've paid enough that you would have earned in 20 years in your country.
How come if they're doing all these raids in America talking about immigrant workers, not a single boss has been arrested?
You would think, right? Because they're not getting hired out of nowhere. Like
they're working,
and they're paying tax. So
it'd be like if you had a sex island where you could take people to have sex with underage girls, and you arrested the person running the island and put her in jail, but didn't arrest any of the people that went there. And you charge her with sex trafficking, but then you just
who's she trafficking it to? Yeah. So like, it's like, "Oh, you've been arrested for drug trafficking." It's like, "Do you have proof I sold it to anyone?" It's like, we're not going to bring any of them in. Like,
anyway. Hey, do you want to know another game story?
Yeah, sure. Well, that started as a game story. It's just been ended.
Yeah, we're in that mood today. I can tell. Let's see, Xbox ROG. Okay, there's a new Xbox handheld.
Yeah, so the ROG Ally, whatever it's called. Did you watch the Xbox showcase?
No. I did watch the Xbox ROG Ally, and there was a couple of games. Yeah, actually, kind of did in parts. Actually.
Yeah, so
up on YouTube.
Yeah, some were right ending on COD 7, like Black Ops 7, like as if Black Ops 7 was going to be a fucking secret. Like, okay, oh, there's going to be a new COD soon. Thanks, Phil. Like, they brought Phil out for that, and Phil's been on the Ozempic.
He's in a hostage situation.
Yeah, he is. He's been on
Ozempic. They've got him in a dungeon.
Yeah, he's just blinking. He's Morse coding torture to us where he blinks. It's so awful. And they've got that chick at the front because obviously she's more willing and able to just do that kind of stuff because, Phil, for all his faults, had gamer cred. And it's like, they obviously want to go, what's his name? Nadella wants to go in a different direction with it. So,
the Xbox ROG Ally handheld.
And it's Game Pass. It's got like a Game Pass.
Here's the good thing, right? Here's the cool thing. It's Windows 11.
Yeah.
But no Windows.
Yes.
And they've made it hideously fast, apparently, by leaving out all the Windows bits. So it's like when you used to have Windows in NT. I can't remember. You used to have Windows NT Server and that.
Yep.
But it still had Windows. But this thing has a custom interface, Xbox interface on it.
Yes.
Underneath is Windows 11, so it'll have all the drivers and everything you need. But there's no actual Windows interface, which is cool. It's like a Unix system where you can just put your window manager on it.
Was it SteamOS? You know what I mean? Same thing.
Microsoft release that. The server market would probably be interested in Windows with no Windows.
It cuts down all the bullshit.
Just get rid of the window. That's a bit I thought was interesting and a big step for Microsoft, considering they tend not to like doing that. Even when they did have server products, you still had to go through and use all the bullshit Windows stuff. But yeah, so the Xbox ROG Ally handheld has Windows 11 on it with a custom Xbox interface and no actual Windows on it,
which is really the dream. Cool. Having set up 3 Windows PCs in the last 2 weeks, I never want to deal with a Windows 11 login screen ever again.
It's better than the old days. I remember the old days used to be a 2-day job.
Yeah.
Now another one is new Fable, new Gears of War, new Forza, and a new Halo are coming next year. Now,
is this a rumor? Because there was no Halo announced.
Okay, maybe it's a rumor, but this is the bit that when I saw this, I thought, because Halo Infinite was supposed to be the future of Halo forever.
Yeah, and now they've moved it to Unreal. I believe they're going full Unreal on it.
So we're going back to tentpole releases for Halo, because that's really Halo's about they didn't realize it. It's much about the story as anything else. The multiplayer is fun, but a story like Reach. Even ODST, I loved ODST. That's
ODST grew on me. I didn't enjoy ODST the first time I played.
I think it's because it was different. It didn't have, but then after a while, it's got Nathan Fillion in it, so it can't be bad.
Yeah.
So
no, the big one from the Xbox.
It's got Mel. Good work, Mel.
The one from the Xbox one looked really good. Did you see Clockwork Revolution or whatever it was called?
Nopees.
Okay, go watch the trailer for that. It's reminds me a lot of what BioShock kind of was morphing towards, but like a steampunky world. Have a look. It looks really good. Just look up.
BioShock's a franchise that hasn't. That's been a long time since Infinite.
I think there's rumors of a new one. There's been rumors for a while. When I saw it, I thought it was the new BioShock, to be honest, when I first saw it. Because, but then they showed it and it was like it's set in England, like the place it's in. I think it was called Avalon, which is about as English as you get. So
no gods or kings, only men.
Yeah.
Okay, and another one is Sonic Racing has added extra characters to its digital deluxe edition.
And there's a new Sonic Racing coming too.
Sonic Racing.
Is there a new one?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Loved that one. Yeah.
I did. Okay, rewind. Hey, note to editor.
Yeah.
Wait, that's no.
Wait a minute.
No, so the Sonic Racing that's coming.
Yes.
Is added to its digital deluxe edition. Character Miku. That blue head. Yep, I couldn't say the rest. Characters from Persona and also characters from Minecraft. Probably no surprise in Minecraft. They're getting everywhere.
There was rumors of SpongeBob characters, which everyone was going on about in the chat, but I think because SpongeBob's been put everywhere, but they're speaking of Nickelodeon crossovers in Tony Hawk 3 and 4, they're doing Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, it's a blast from that.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, it's the new one. It's because there was a new movie, right? It was a movie like a year ago.
I haven't kept track of
it. It was like that Spider-Verse animation and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love Spider-Verse.
They made some interesting creative decisions that I'll talk to you about off air.
Okay. Into the Spider-Verse was amazing.
Was that the first one?
The 2 movies so far they've done.
I've never seen the second one, but I have no interest in the second one.
It was really good, and it was. I know you probably thought it was dangerously close to being, and I don't mean this like wokey, right? Getting a bit silly, but it was just so good. It was just so.
I like the first one. Second one just doesn't.
Yeah, but it set it up for the third one, and when it got to the third one, I was like genuinely excited, and I thought, oh shit, it's going to be like 5 years away, based on other ones. But the Spider-Verse.
I said that for a long time. The only thing Sony makes that's any good is actually anything with Spider-Man in it. Anything else they do is dog crap. Like, we're going to do Madam Web. Oh, how does it tie to the Spider-Man universe? It doesn't. Then why does it exist?
IP, just to keep
Kraven the Hunter. Oh, okay. What does that tie into? Spider-Man? Nope. Okay.
It ties into nothing. Ties into going broke.
Yeah.
On that Sonic Racing thing that's coming up, cross-platform multiplayer.
This is good. I mean, I think we're at the point now where
everybody without a Switch 2. I'm looking for Mario Kart. Go get the new Sonic.
I'm going to give Bobby Kotick credit on this one, and I hate to say that, but he was the one who said that he saw a world coming very soon where platforms didn't matter. People would be playing cross-platform. But the technology would get there eventually, and I think we've just hit that day.
He years and years ago, he tried to buy the Amiga brand off Commodore,
Yeah.
with the intent of making an Amiga console. This would have been back in the Mega Drive,
Yeah,
big
yeah.
Nintendo days, right? And if Bobby,
When it still had cache, yeah.
yeah, and the Amiga, Commodore bought out the Amiga CD32, but it was cute, but it wasn't
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
It just wasn't made properly to be a console to fit in with them. But if Bobby Kotick had have got, and as much as he's a scumbag, the guy knows business.
Yeah.
If he had have got the Amiga brand of Commodore back in like 1990 or whatever,
Yeah.
we'd all be playing Amiga consoles now, and probably not even PlayStation.
Yeah.
I'd go that far to say the Amiga would be the big gaming brand right now.
Maybe. I feel like the Sony thing was helped by the Nintendo thing. I think the fact that, like you say, but moving Sony having the foothold in when they were a technological powerhouse. They're not a technological powerhouse anymore. They were.
The Amiga would have been a CD console, and it would have come way earlier than anybody else.
Yeah, but I mean, we could say the same with Dreamcast. Dreamcast was before its time, and I think an Amiga console with a CD drive would have been before its time.
I've got a VMU2 on the way.
Is that like the upgrade to the fancy?
It's unfortunately, I've got to buy one of them now. But I bought a VMU2, which is one that takes the SD card and has an identifier in it, so it automatically can create a save block for each game when you put it in.
Nice,
really nice. Anyway, cool. You mentioned Dreamcast. Plus, also I've got the USB-C power on my Dreamcast, and it is
the old Retro 6 one. Or?
Yeah, everybody, if you got a Saturn or a Dreamcast, go to Retro 6 and get yourself a clean power unit. I've got one on my Saturn and one on my Dreamcast.
Did you install it yourself?
Yeah, real easy. No soldering needed. It's just a push on. So pull off the big chunky board that's there. That's really quite big. The power supply is like a third of the unit.
Well, it's old school, right? Like
and just push on this little power board and then screw in the back a USB-C thing. It doesn't quite fit. They could have done a bit better, but I tell you what, it's just so much nicer running off USB-C.
If USB-C, you could run off 5 volts straight at that point, direct. Like
USB-C requests how much power it wants, so it negotiates with.
But all internal consoles only ever run 5 volts. I've never seen a console need.
Don't know what it does, but it's been sitting there for probably 6 months on my Saturn and my Dreamcast next to each other. There's no heat, no problems. It just runs really nice, and running off USB-C power. It just it's sweet.
Interesting.
It doesn't heat up as well because the Dreamcast fan still goes every so often, but there's no heat comes out of it. It's really nice because that was one of the big problems people had with their if they were putting in the
TV unit.
Or the drive replacements. I can't remember what they're called. So if they put in their disc, they pull out the disc drive and put in a drive emulator to put in an SD card and play the games. Problem with that is the airflow didn't quite work properly then for how it was set up, so their Dreamcast would be heating up. So they'd putting in more powerful fans. If anybody's done that, go get yourself, was it Retro
6? Yeah.
Get a clean power. There's almost no heat comes out of it, so you won't have to worry anymore about putting a chunkier fan in the Dreamcast. Anyway, well, that's a digression, but that's something everybody should be doing. It's fantastic. Plus, also I got from a Saturn a Saru card.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've gone way off track here. The Saru card is a cartridge. It slots in the back of the Saturn, where the memory card cartridge goes. You put an SD card in that, and if it's formatted properly and all set up nice, you can buy off Etsy like pre-formatted SD cards. You can basically just play your entire library off an SD card. Everything I've tried except for Golden Axe has worked on the Saturn, but you don't have to remove your drive because I didn't like the idea of removing my drive. And the Saru card you can have from under $100. Yeah. They're really good value.
Plus, I think for a lot of that, like we always joke about T-Heat only play your backups, but I mean there's a lot of, like I've got so many years ago Oz for one of my birthdays. I believe it might have been my 30th. This is how long ago we're talking.
When you're hot.
Oh, jeez. When I was under 30,
Hot 30.
Under 30, yeah.
Yes. Where's that award? Where have you hung it up? I can't see it anywhere yet.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note, Oz brought me a Master System 1 or pretty sure it's a Master System 1.
I still don't know how you won that because you're like at least the third best looking on the show.
Yeah, and I mean that story is funny. Everyone was terrified. Someone linked it in, was it IRC at that point? I came who the fuck nominated me for this fucking shit? I think
they start with D.
I was fuming. And everyone was like, wasn't me. I'm like, well, fucking one he is. And then it turns out it was like Drew and Cos, I think. And so I was like, well, when the industry does it, I don't mind. But no one said it in our group. I said, no one in our group nominates themselves for awards. It doesn't work like that. Like,
well, Cart
and you're not nominating me for
honestly, Cart was robbed.
Anyway, but no,
Hey, and now you got cringy, so you bumped down a level as well.
but it was. I don't think it was hot necessarily physically hot. I think it was more like
No, I don't think it was.
Trendsetters. Yeah. Anyway, talking about my fucking Master System that I have that has all my games on it. Like so Oz got me a Master System, and I think it has.
I'm dying.
I would say 90% of the Australian library for a Master System. So it's got like everything that came out on the Master System, bar like the real rare stuff, you know what I mean? Like the ones that had like 10, like a run of 100 or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, so but I can see the value in not opening those, not because I'm trying to keep them for value, blah blah, but I'm like, but they are getting old, and I don't want to have to. Like, I found an old card of Mario Tennis on the N64 the other day, and that game is fucking amazing.
Well, if you find a sealed one of those games now, it is worth saying we'll keep it sealed.
Yeah.
Because the value is going to go up, and there's
anything can brute force. Basically, until PS2 era, PS3 era now, to be honest, you can brute force it. It's not like the bad. Remember, PS3 emulation was always fraught because they had to account for the cell technology. I'm like, you can just brute force it now. Like, you can just brute force the overhead on it. And
you want to know one of the best benefits of having a something like a SD playable games on a Dreamcast and a Saturn is fan translations.
Yes,
because
good call.
Dreamcast and Saturn both seem to be really bad at this, where Sega at the time wasn't bringing across some of their best stuff to English markets.
And yeah,
and so what you got now is you've got a lot of people who patched games like the Shining Force extra chapters, for example, because they only
I do love Shining Force,
chapter 1, right?
Yeah,
I always wanted 2 and 3, you just couldn't get it, but now there's patched ones you can download, which have been fan translated, and you can play them just off the SD card like the normal game. Now, that's something that was the only way that's possible is through that, and that is why I would recommend anybody get one of these Saru cards, because you can now play a whole heap of Saturn games that used to be Japan only, and you don't have to know Japanese. There's tons of RPGs and that have all been translated, and you can just relive all those things we used to read about in the magazines. And we used to we'd hope that people would over, but if someone like Working Designs didn't bring them over, you weren't seeing those games here. And I don't know what was going through Sega's brain at the time.
So it's funny, right? Because we actually had a panel with Scott, who I forget his surname. I don't want to say Scott Sterling. He's the man, the myth, the legend.
So yes,
yeah, right. But I actually
best volleyball player ever.
I think it is Scott Sterling. Anyway, so
soccer, good as soccer too.
Yeah. So he was in charge of Sega's translation team from Yakuza 4 onwards, and Yakuza 4 onwards is where it becomes noticeably better. Like, their translations were always after also rans are also very literal, and not in a good way literal. Like, actually, I take it back. They weren't literal where they needed to be. It was like that was always the thing that annoyed me about 3. It was like they would translate Aniki to boss. I'm like, anyone playing a fucking Yakuza game knows what Aniki means. They understand the affection behind it. This idea that you're going to bring in random new people, whereas after 4, they actually did them as rewritten. Because any translation is a new work. I try and explain this to anyone. You can say, oh, I'm playing the translated, I'm playing the sub or the dub. Now, if you have something that's released in Japanese originally, blah, 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 that's version 1. That's one version of this work. The dub is a second version of his work. The sub is a third version of his work. You sub it into French, it's a fourth version. They're all different works as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but I don't like when they change them, because I get you're gonna say the localization, and that has to for some reasons, but
there needs to be a balance. Like I get where you're coming from, but I think you can't. If you go literal, then you need to have translator notes, and I think that's also fine.
Yeah,
but I think no matter what, even if you read a book, like I've got a translated Quran, I've got a bunch of like random books that are French books and stuff that are translated into English. But there's a reason people, history buffs and that fight over people's translations, because some may capture the essence of what is being said better than others. And I think it's more important that you capture the essence of what's being said. If it's being irreverent, be irreverent. If it's being serious, be serious. If it's like capturing that spirit is more important than necessarily being a literal translation.
Yeah, I get that. I get the literal translations that work, because that's why IGN went after Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah,
so literal mind you, they might have been dodgy anyway. But the thing is, I think a midpoint, because it does appear sometimes like localizers want to make it too American, which I mean,
this is the anime problem. Every anime voice is that South Californian drawl with vocal front.
The thing is, I'm not an American. Like
Yes.
we're some of those dozens of people that live in countries other than America.
It's
right?
there's nothing more refreshing to me than hearing a dubbed voice, and that was why Xenoblade was so fun. It had Australian, everyone from the different parts of the world had different accents. There was the Australians, there was the English, there was the northern, like the Manchesters, the Mancunians, and the Birminghams and all those kind of places all had their unique accents.
Yeah.
But they were all based on different parts of that world, and even like Final Fantasy 16 was heavily English inspired, and like even having different American voices, it's always that same.
No, they only have one. And
There's always
that's
that
the
same
Hollywood centric.
Stars Californian Valley Girl with the vocal fry, and like
Even
all anime sounds the same. That's why I can't hack dubs anymore, because they just don't sound different. They just
even American actors have to practice that.
Yeah.
That American style of talk.
You have to, yeah, exactly.
But the localizers tend to make it into a Californian game, and then as an Australian, we come along and when it's been localized for Californian sensibilities, yeah, great. But you've made it something that's not really relatable to us. Now, you may have said, oh, we need to change it because the original thing isn't being captured properly, or the original meaning isn't coming across, or the original might have been a little bit dodgy and a little bit pedo-y, so we have to change it. But then it turns into a Californian version of that, not... And then they give that to everyone else in the world as if they're the arbiters of how it should be, which to me just introduces another level of incorrectness to it.
Well, that was always the funny part about Halo, right? They're all the Marines are Australians, right? And so I feel like if you're ever going to represent a country that's going to be sent off to foreign shores, i.e. literally other planets, to fight someone else's war, Australians are probably high on that list, right?
Well, the British used to always send non-British troops to the front and then come in after, and the Americans did that in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Used to come and kill, steal quite a bit. But anyway, that's another story. So yeah, they would do that, and they plan to do that to us now anyway. Which we're going to be the Ukraine of the Pacific. So what was the next gaming news? Super Meat Boy is coming out in 3D.
I did see that.
Looks really cool.
It looks interesting.
I don't know if it'll translate because of the quick gameplay.
I was literally just about to say.
I'll rewind and I'll take that back out. Edit it, remove that bit. Let Jason.
No. No. You nailed it though. I just don't think the one hit death gameplay in a 3D environment. Like, I mean, it's got to be tight. It's gonna have to be real tight on the controls. You know,
it looks nice. It looks very Minecraft. The videos that Minecraft release, it looks like that in gameplay form. So they're definitely going for the aesthetic there.
Yeah, and like I said, I just think I worry that in a game that is as fast paced as a Super Meat Boy that requires such precision, blah blah blah. The amount of times the camera is going to kill you is going to be a big deal, and I think that happens more often.
Yeah, that precision is easier to represent a 2D environment.
Yes,
because it'll look good. Hey, here's one. Now I don't know if I dreamt this or not.
Here we go.
Elden Ring's getting a live action movie.
Yeah, it was Alex Garland,
and
that's old news.
Being produced by George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, and Alex Garland, I think, is directing it.
Is that old news? Okay, I did dream it a little while ago.
Yeah,
that's cool. Let's find something new here.
And anything but writing that last Game of Thrones book, hey? Like,
yeah, he actually approached the Expanse authors to finish the book, and the Expanse authors said no because they're working on another franchise.
Oh, okay.
They're working on a new franchise after the Expanse. Now, if you would ask the Expanse authors to finish any series you wanted, Star Wars people should get them in on it.
Yeah.
So
it's so funny. It's so funny. Star Wars, like the amount of they're still trying to hype Andor, and I'm sure it's a wonderful show, but I have no faith or trust in Star Wars as a brand.
But you know,
deliver anything of interest.
You know why? Because what happened is when Disney got Star Wars, every science fiction project that anybody can think of it becomes Star Wars. So there's no continuity, there's no consistency.
Yeah.
And that's because they're too afraid to make an Expanse or a Battlestar Galactica or even a Star Trek now. It has to be Star Wars because then you got this guaranteed group of idiots that will love or hate it, right? Because Star Wars and Star Wars fans are in an abusive relationship. Yeah. And but neither of them are prepared to leave. So you just get all these weird stuff like that space witchy crap that was in the season recently that Harvey Weinstein's personal pimp assistant wrote. That was the chick that made that Star Wars recently was Harvey Weinstein's assistant.
Which Star Wars recently was that?
Oh, the one with the space witches, the power of one, the power of many, the one.
Oh, okay, yeah, right,
That's
okay.
Harvey Weinstein. And so that was obviously paying her off with a bit of cash to keep a bit quiet. Because if you were Harvey Weinstein's assistant, you took part in a few things.
Yeah, well, you at
I'm just
least
going to allege.
allegedly, yeah.
Yeah. So, but see, that's a story that somebody had and they wanted to do. Now that could have been done as its own story and it stood on its own 2 feet. But it had to be called Star Wars because they're too afraid to release anything that's not.
But that's true of any so many adaptations, especially video game adaptations and stuff like that. They'll just let some hack writer in who chops it up and says, "I'm injecting my story." Or like Witcher. Oh yeah, well we thought we wanted to use it as we wanted to use it as a platform to tell a different story. I'm like, why don't you just tell the fucking story that was there, which was pretty good? Like, why do you need to tell your story? But it's because they can't get a commission of a new
for
story.
their story, so they have to steal the name.
And like a stolen valor thing. And
it's
funny too because of Netflix, because Netflix is one of the better ones for that. Like they took a chance on Three Body Problem. They took a Three Body Problem.
Chance they shouldn't have taken that chance because the 10-cent version of Three Body Problem is infinitely superior.
Really?
Oh yeah, you have to read it. It's like watching an anime.
Okay. I don't know.
But the
I might
10
have subtitles.
I was surprised. The 10-cent version of Three Body Problem, if that is indicative of where China's like TV production is,
Getting there, yeah.
they are so close to the best stuff coming out of America.
Yeah, right.
It was really good. And it was interesting to see in the 10-cent version of Three Body Problem, the way they also, how American shows treat their military as far as their gods, right? Thank you for serving. And then they treat them like shit. They have to suicide when they're back in America, but that's another story. The Chinese one, the whole message there underlying in the Three Body Problem, the Chinese military took over the thing because it was China.
Which is because I've seen the show, so I know.
But their job stated. You've seen the 10-cent one?
No, I've seen the American one.
The American one's garbage. But
but I know what you mean when they take over the military base when she first hears it.
Okay, the Chinese one was done very different, and the Chinese generals were basically saying our job is to protect the scientists because the scientists are the future of humanity. The scientists need to be the ones that are maintained, which is interesting because in American shows, the military is the future and the ones that need to be maintained. The scientists are there to enable the military. So the way Chinese treated everything in that show was very different to what you normally used to. And I found it quite refreshing. And the show itself, the way it was done, the 10-cent one was done the scientist chick was girl bossy, which was dumb, but we're getting to a point where that's just you expected now. The one done in China, we've talked before about how if you want to make something a social change, it has to be normal. It has to be treated in these shows.
Normalized, yeah.
So all the top scientists in the 10-cent version, a lot of them were women, right? Yeah. But there was no big deal, mate. It was just how it was, right? And that is actual progressive. Yeah. That's how you do it. And so the way every aspect
just because I mean that is that American recipe for strong women is just make them less bulky
obnoxious
men. Less bulky men.
Yeah. They say men be masculine's bad and toxic, but women be masculine is fine. Is empowering. But the Chinese one, it was all done different, and so everything, and it was refreshing to see their attitude to everything. Plus, they also, it was like 30 episodes. They took a lot of time to tell the story.
Yeah, gotcha.
And it was done. It was done really, really well.
That's a Netflix problem.
Everyone see it.
That's a Netflix formula problem as well, right? By the 6th episode, you've got to have your actual ending, and then you've got to spend 2 episodes building up
the Netflix one. Honestly, if you see the Chinese one compared to the Netflix one, you'll be going, "Well, why did I waste my time with the Netflix one?" I honestly, I do not have any confidence in Netflix to be able to do the other 2 books. I don't know how much you know about the Three Body.
No, I know because the third one goes like super duper, like it's like
third one gets into
Odyssey.
It basically covers trillions of years. And it gets into like slowing down the speed of light, making time bubbles where you can hide planets so that they can't be found by other people. There's probably a spoiler because it'll never get here and everyone will forget anyway. But the way Earth was destroyed in the end was by turning our solar system into 2 dimensions, not 3.
Right. So literally flattened it.
Because more, and we were hiding ships out past Jupiter because they thought they'd target, because the way they targeted the Trisolarians was by blowing up their sun. So they thought, well, that's going to happen to us by somebody else. But the higher races, the more intelligent races, they'd gone past blowing things up and they got to dimension shifting. They're manipulating light itself. And so some of the concepts when you get into the Three Body Problem into the other 2 books is actually really big brain.
Well, because this is when you talk about like multiverse.
How do you put that in TV?
Yeah, like when you talk about multiverse and everyone's like, oh, you can split the universe at this point. I'm like, you can split the universe literally at any point. This is the whole entire thing with multiverse, right? Is every millisecond is different. Do you know what I mean? Like has a potential to be
Oh,
different.
where do you decide the break is?
If I'm holding up a finger in this way, but then I move it to the right, that's a different decision. Do you know what I mean? Like, what if I never moved it?
Yeah, so where do you split it?
Exactly, right? So every single decision by every single person and every single thing is a potential split multiverse, and you can't really convey that on television.
There was a
like Rick and Morty's got the closest. Like, if I'm being real,
there was a good show on Prime that got cancelled, and it had the girl from what was the show? The fifth wave, I think it was in it. But it was called Peripheral, and they did it like that, but you had to explicitly go to this setup they had in the future to trigger a split, right? So you can only do it a couple of times. It was under strict control, and they did for reasons.
Fringe did an okay job of it. Fringe was like the closest reality to ours is here, and blah 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 blah. But I think if you can do one or two parallel universes with ease. Beyond that, you start having to have the question of what dictates the universe.
Yeah, that gets a bit silly. The way Marvel turned it into nonsense, basically. But anyway, so yeah, I'm not a big fan of those parallel universe things. Peripheral did a decent job. Peripheral should have got a second season. They cancel it because that's the problem with streaming shows. You invest your time in it and it just disappears.
It's gone, and
then you get other shows that have multiple seasons. You go, what the fuck's going on here? But anyway, what we're talking about. Anyway, I can't see Netflix doing season 2 and 3 of Three Body Problem. I cannot see them turning it into a movie.
With that said, on Netflix, go watch Tires and go watch Brassic. Brassic has Joe Gilgun.
Brassic Park.
Who you may know from, you probably don't know. Did you watch Misfits, the UK Misfits?
No.
That was really good. And he was after Nathan leaves, he takes over from Nathan. I forget what his name of this show is. He's really good in that. And he was in Preacher. He's Cassidy in Preacher.
Which one's Cassidy?
The vampire.
Oh, I was thinking Reacher.
That's a different show.
I was thinking with the big bloke. Which one was he? The guy love knives, or
I gave up on that in season 2, and I have no interest in going back. If you're gonna slurp, make sure you pause because it's worse than coughing.
Is it really?
Comes through the mic way worse.
Okay, cool.
It percolates. You
just let the audience wonder what the hell's going on.
Tires is good. Tires does misfit. Shane Gillis doesn't do himself any favors, which is nice. Like he doesn't.
Shane Gillis is hilarious. That's a comedian.
I told you he's great.
Saturday Night Live has had a noticeable uptick in
quality comedians. Bill Burr and Shane Gillis within the same 3 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Bill Burr did one later, and Bill Burr did his usual alienate the crowd. Bill Burr's latest stand-up special is really good as well. You'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it.
That's not the one in the Rock Stadium.
No, that was one from a couple of years ago. Okay. You can only be mad or fine. You're going to be angry or fine. They're the two emotions men can have, and it's like he just does a good job of distilling the male ennui with the universe, and people can say, we can't feel sorry for the white males, blah blah. But hang on, I'm gonna have to do that quickly. Do you want to go? Just hand the gentleman the 2 boxes that are at the front for me.
Yep.
We're mid record, but that's all right. We'll send Dermie to do the job. Thank you. I'll keep reading while he's doing that. If I can read his writing. Oh yeah. Okay, so he's got some Aussie games coming out.
I'm back already.
Yeah. There you go. You can do it.
Okay, I'm back already. Cool. There we go. Having a little interruption. So some Aussie games kind of been announced or whatever recently, which I thought was interesting because we don't hear much about the Aussie game industry.
Yeah.
So there's Lego Party, and it's coming from. Oh, I wrote this down. I can't read it. Oh, it's like a Mario Party game from SMG, who made Moving Out and
okay, interesting.
And a bunch of others.
Moving Out was a good game.
Yeah, so Lego Party, a Mario Party style game with Lego. That looks like it's pretty cool. There's a Game of Thrones War for Westeros. War.
You say well a lot.
By Playside, a Melbourne developer.
Yeah.
Playside
have a Melbourne studio. Playside are bigger than that. Yeah.
Dumb Ways to Die. Did they make that one?
No, that was I forget the name of them, but maybe I remember they might have got absorbed, but that was a different.
Okay, cool. Right.
I met that guy a few times. We did a bunch of segments on him in the old days.
Okay, so Game of Thrones, and another one I can't read my writing. Oh, it's a mixtape. It's a music game. It's got
yes, I did
music from Devo, Roxy, Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, that looks
like a member berry game.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
The style looked a little bit like what was that game where Max changed time and
So Life is Strange.
Life is Strange? It looked a little bit like that. Looked interesting. It looked like a nostalgia for 90s kids, like
Yeah,
nostalgia for
yeah.
80s kids.
Yeah, and like I say, the big thing that's come out.
Beethoven and Dinosaur.
Obviously, this is the old Beethoven and Dinosaur. Yeah, so this is the old E3 window, and you can tell, and they're starting to like Sony did a press, and they actually showed single player games. What a world! Single player games from Sony, like Jim Ryan, rest in piss, I guess, for a lot of things. Like I can't believe how badly.
Where's that leave Ubisoft and that they're desperately trying not to?
The rumor is Ubisoft are going to really align with Microsoft and try and because so basically EA. If you have Game Pass Ultimate, you already get EA Play, whatever it's called.
Oh, yep.
And then Ubisoft want another $20 a month to access Ubisoft games. $20 a month to access Ubisoft games on top of Game Pass.
I'll just play Division on Steam.
If they said an extra $5 on top of Game Pass, you'd go, yeah, maybe. You know what I mean? Like if Game Pass started doing the cable model, people might chuck some add-ons on, right? But I'm like, I'm paying $17 AUD, I think it is $17.99.
That's a lot per year just to play Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like I've advocated for a few people have listened to me on it. Is at the moment 2 months of Game Pass would get you through till September, till Christmas time, and there would be so many good games that you haven't played. Indiana Jones, Avowed, South of Midnight,
Oblivion,
Adamfall, Oblivion, and they're all included. They're all inclusive. Like it's crazy.
Oh, and Balatro.
Balattro's on everything though. I've got it on literally every platform.
Yeah, that's why they sold 500,000.
The hardest part of Balatro is having to re-unlock all your jokers, knowing you've had a good run on one.
I think
platform.
the hardest part of Balatro sounds like not buying another copy.
Yeah, because it's such a simple game. It's like $15. Oh yeah, pay $15, and then it's like, all right, well, I'm just.
No, it's actually $90 if you buy 6.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And so look at you doing maths. That was what? Is that correct? Yeah, it is. Good job.
Is it?
Yeah, it was you doing maths. That's
it's all these germs. I've hardly slept. I'm feeling sticky.
Consolidated. Yeah.
They're doing maths.
Yeah. It's like the worms in Futurama. They was made you smarter.
SMIT.
Yeah. No, it's like I say, I don't know. I feel like it's a good time to be a gamer. Yeah.
All right, cool. I've got nothing else here.
That's
what's coming up? You're running away soon.
I am running away. Yeah, I was hoping we could potentially do a special event, but I never got around to it because I'm too busy doing
playing the Switch, dude.
Less that, more. I want to tidy the place up before I leave. Because I've got a lot of stuff.
It is tidier.
Yeah, it's a little bit better. It needs to be better.
And playing the Switch too.
Yeah, and playing.
And Helldivers.
I've been playing much Switch. I've been playing a lot of Helldivers. Like it's bad again. It's bad.
It's bad. It's got.
When I say it's bad, I'm like it's still so fun. The gameplay loop in that game is phenomenal. The new battle pass should have dropped by I think 6 o'clock tonight. Will come out, so I'll get a couple of sessions in before I go over to Japan and pick up my other PS5, which happens to be in Japan, and I'll just play it more when I'm over there.
Oh,
so I'm going through my list of things I've got to take because I fly out tomorrow to Sydney. I'm going to go see.
So Homer stashing beers. You got PS5 stashed everywhere just to play Helldivers.
I was saying, I love you. I'm going to see Kojima on Saturday, which I'm very excited about. I got in really early on the tickets, so I got pretty good tickets.
Sydney.
This is in Sydney.
Yep.
That's one of the only reasons I would go to Sydney. And then on the Sunday morning, I fly out to Japan.
Enjoy that. So this is our last podcast for like 2 weeks.
Probably. I mean, we could probably try and find a dial-in solution. I've got a decent microphone.
Actually, from Japan, because I know when we went there, my son took his laptop and he said the online gaming with his friends who live in Melbourne was better in Tokyo than it was in another suburb of Melbourne.
Pretty, because they don't limit upload. This is the thing with Japan, right? Is in Australia your upload's limited because they don't want you to run a server at home. They want you
to get a business plan.
Yeah. Whereas I think it's Aussie or someone do a 2,100 or something like that now, which is pretty good. 2,000 down, 1,000 up is not bad. Like if you've got the bandwidth for it. Like we're on HFC here and we're on the 1,050 plan, but we get about probably 750, and then we get all full of 50. But 50 up and the ping and all that kind of stuff. Whereas in Japan, it's like a mate of mine lives on the side of a mountain in Shiga and gets fucking 10 gigabit. So
I mean that's because for 10 years, Telstra basically hobbled Australian development so that
I mean, it's just,
and
as
on
soon as we
behalf of
sold,
Foxtel,
as soon as we sold it, we had the profit motive, and the profit motive is
yeah,
the worst thing you do for a company.
Telstra kept us oppressed internet style for a decade
Yeah,
because they didn't want to harm their pay TV business up
No.
under Foxtel, and they also Telstra doesn't understand this stuff. I mean, they're not that bright.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but they're not very good at telecommunications.
No.
And what you got is you probably missed a generation of like Australian
Yeah.
big streamers. So like, you know, I can't see any reason why there wasn't an Australian PewDiePie or something.
Yeah,
We have that irreverent.
We've got
way
Mustalk and Laserbeam, and Laserbeam is one of the big crew now.
We could, and we also our time frame allows our time
It's
zone
a unique time zone.
allows us to stream in that during the day, which suits us,
Yeah.
which is evening and nighttime for overseas.
Yeah.
I think we're set up, but Telstra stopped
But
it.
I mean, this is the thing we learned is basically if you stream at nighttime for us, like 8 to midnight, for example, you get during the day and the afternoon in say England, but in America you're in the middle of the night. So to really get first thing in the morning in America is 3 a.m. So if you start at 7, 8 a.m., you're hitting about lunchtime thing, and then you could
It's
do
not
it as your
watching
9 to 5. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not watching time. So during the day is the best time to stream in Australia. But yeah, Telstra held us up for a decade, because and we're still suffering from that because our internet plans are still holdovers from our Telstra used to market them with our slow uploads.
Yeah.
And that was to get people onto business plans,
Yeah.
which had fast uploads with a
And they double up. Yeah, exactly. I mean, anyway.
They combine IP addresses with so when music industry was chasing people for downloading music,
They could check them.
but the IP address in Australia meant nothing because it was sharing it with other people.
Yeah.
It's just Telstra's. Yeah, they didn't do the right thing by us.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they got sold, John Howard, another John Howard favorite.
John Howard is Australia's Ronald Reagan.
100%.
It's where all the problems started.
And on that note,
That's horseshoing back around to the
so horseshoeing back around to the worst things in the world, i.e., Scott Morrison getting an Order of Australia. So that's dreadful.
Yeah, for his leadership during COVID, he wanted to let it rip.
Oh yeah,
and
he was a Beyblade fan. He wanted to let it rip,
and it was only Dictator Dan and McGowan and that stopped him.
And then they supported Clive Palmer suing WA, and then they wondered why WA has 6.
And he
libs now.
And he withdrew vaccines from Victoria.
Sure
they were allocated for Victoria. He took them out so that they could vaccinate private schools in New South Wales.
Sure did.
So that private schools in New South Wales got Pfizer vaccines early.
Yep.
And that's Scott Morrison, and he got an award for that. How is that anyway? So
I mean, this is
contempt.
Sometimes some of those issues with independent panels is they're still stacked with cronies, and you can't tell me that that's not a crony. And I mean, the nice thing is, before we go, the nice thing is we probably need to stop pretending that libs have cultural relevance, and we have to stop giving it to them.
This is the ABC.
ABC has been running eulogy pieces on the libs for all.
That's because it's their friends.
Absolutely, they don't exist anymore. We need to stop worrying about them.
They won't exist for a long time.
Cover anything else. Exactly. They are absolutely irrelevant for the next
and they have
9 years minimum.
They have them on saying, Liberals are calling on the government to this. Well, it doesn't matter.
Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit?
You got 40 people out of 120.
Absolutely. Who gives a shit? Yeah, exactly.
You're as irrelevant as if National Party or the Greens say it.
Yeah.
Like, right at this point, you should be talking to the current government and putting pressure on them to do what they have to do. Anyway,
it's been funny. It's been funny to watch them fall apart, trying to pretend that people with $3 million in their super. It's like, oh, but we'll lose that investment vehicle. It's like, it's not an investment vehicle; it's a retirement vehicle. Yeah,
the Yanks want it though.
Oh yes, they do.
The Yanks want the super.
Absolutely.
Trump tried first time to get Trumbull to.
And to be fair to Trumbull's, one thing he did that was good. He said no. So,
but if the Libs were now, they'd probably give it away. But anyway, we have horseshoe back around.
We have horseshoe back around like we'd like to do. But on that note, yeah, I'll be in Japan. We'll be making some content because I have Jackie Boy with me. Happy 30th birthday!
Cringy's back.
Happy 30th birthday to Jack as well.
He can't say his age. When you say a gay man's age, a fairy dies.
Oh, easy. Fucking hell. Calm down.
I was trying to make that old.
Calm down, Adolf.
Let's change that to something else. Sorry, Jack. No, you can't say Cringy's age.
Yeah, okay. It was also M, who's been on the show as well. It was her birthday recently. So lots of them are all, had very, very bored parents in September at some point. So yeah.
My brother's 3 kids were all born like around Christmas or New Year.
So born at New Year means March.
Yeah, and I guess when my birthday is. So I always say to him, well, good work celebrating my birthday because I appreciate you being a good brother and going, hey, it's my brother's birthday, let's get it on. And he finds that vomit inducing.
My
So do I actually.
So my birthday is the 25th of February. My cousin,
Well, don't dox yourself.
whatever. People can come and I'll see you soon, right?
Oh, the army of birds will stop.
Yeah. My cousin's is the 24th of February, and my brother is the 24th of February.
Wow.
It's a familial trait, apparently.
Okay. It's like all the ones born 9 months after grand final.
My mum and her brother are both on the same day.
Wow. So yeah, people need to get some imagination.
Yeah. And that day is 9 months after Christmas, is all I'll say.
It's a good way to let everyone know you have sex once a year.
Yeah. On that note, we'll see you guys in a few weeks' time. We'll be taking a few weeks break. Maybe we'll try and find an online solution.
Man, that's a lot.
And we'll catch you guys next time.